Earlier this week, I told you about a woman I had met earlier in my ministry who said that she could see demons. Well, she said she couldn't just see them, she could also hear them. And she could hear them in church, like during church. She said that she would be sitting down in church, and church would be going on, and she could see the demons wherever they were inside the church building. They were screaming. She said at the top of their lungs, just ugly, heinous noise, obviously meant to distract her from whatever else was happening. But then she said, "But Pastor, there's one time during the service that they don't scream, they don't make any noise, they don't say anything." And of course I asked, "Well, what's that?" And she said, "Well, it's when you're preaching. It's during the sermon. It's when you're reading the word and you're talking about it." Said it's like they want to talk, but they can't. And I thought, that is really cool. I thought that's really cool. In the book of James, it says, "Submit yourselves then to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Come near to God, and he will come near to you." No, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Come near to God, and he will come near to you. And of course, the word is where God is near us. It's where we hear God's voice. It's where God's voice is spoken, and speaking the word is how we speak it with one another. And someone might ask, well, how do we come near to God in a way that we know that God is coming near to us? And we get some insight in the Gospel of Mark. Also earlier in the week, we were in Mark chapter 5, where Jesus met a man who was possessed by a demon who called himself Legion because there were many. And they recognized Jesus, and they were terrified of him. And Jesus ended up throwing them into a bunch of pigs, and they went off and did something else. And everybody was amazed, and Jesus set this man free. But there's something interesting that happened in the previous chapter, that Jesus and his disciples were out in a boat in Mark chapter 4, and a furious squall came up, like a massive storm. And if the Bible is mentioning it as a furious squall and something that terrified even the disciples, this was a big deal because these guys had experience on the water. And as they're just trying to get water out of the boat and they're trying to survive, Jesus, you might know what Jesus is doing. He's sleeping. He's taking a nap. And so eventually they realize that this is hopeless. We're not going to survive here. And they see Jesus sleeping, and they wake him up, and they don't say, "Please, Jesus, could you please help us?" They say, "Jesus, don't you care? Don't you care about us? I thought you cared. Why would you let us go through something like this? I thought you cared about us." They didn't use that many words, but that was the sense of what they said. And Jesus, he stood up and he looked at them and he said, he spoke to the storm. And he said, "Shh," or "Be still." And it was calm. And then he looked at the disciples and he said, "Why were you so afraid? Why didn't you have faith? Why didn't you have faith?" They didn't need to be able to keep the storm away. They didn't need to be able to handle it on their own. They just needed God with them, God near them. And the truth of the matter was, he already was. He was right there in the boat with them, which is exactly the place where he is right now. He is right there in the boat with you. Whatever your life is looking like, whatever is turning upside down, whatever winds and waves are approaching you, whether it's demonic or it's something else, he's right there in the boat with you. He is near you, because that's exactly what he promised to do, to be near you, and what he guaranteed he would always do when he eventually climbed a cross. And he forgave us for all the times that our faith has been so little, for all the times that we have forgotten to look to Jesus first, for all the times that we have allowed our fears to overwhelm our faith. He forgave us. and assured us that your Father in heaven will always treat you as the perfectly loved child of God you always are in Christ. God is near you all the time. Thanks for sticking with us throughout the week on what can be a very uncomfortable or unusual topic, but it's a very important topic. Satan is very real. He knows who you are. He's targeting your faith. But man, Jesus is just as real. His love for you is great, and he is always with you in the boat, exactly where you are right now. If you want to share these videos with people who need that encouragement, please do so. If you just want to take it to heart, then we're glad. We're glad to have spent this week with you, and we look forward to seeing you again sometime soon.
If these messages are a blessing to you and your faith, and you want more, we'd love to make it easy for you. You can just click this button right here to get connection to a YouTube subscription, or if you want these devotions right into your inbox, you can click right here. YouTube here, email here. Email here, YouTube there. Click both these buttons. We'll give you as much Jesus as we can because we know that Jesus is all that we need.